G'day and welcome to the video. It's time for Hard Survival Run number 4. As with run number 3, we've got the first of our mod pack modules in place, shaders, and resource pack in use. And we spawn in. Hey, this isn't a snowy or icy biome. It actually looks quite nice. So let's get that spawn tower up and get a better look at just where we are. Well, I managed to build a fairly small spawn tower without hurting myself. I must be learning. So I can see beach, savanna, and this small plains-like area. I've already seen acacia, at least one oak, and now flowers and grass. Even staring at the sun is prettier with this shader pack. Don't stare at the sun. Maybe I could have just looked at my shadow to work out which way the sun was going. After punching down that oak I saw, I've enough for my starter tools, a sapling, and seeds I picked up along the way. Nicely done. The first open cave I look into has pigs, iron, and a skeleton. A wooden pick is not enough to take it on, so back it out and wait. I spot coal in another one of the branches. I don't see the skeleton over this side, so I may as well make coal while the sun shines. With the dynamic lighting mod, turning that initial coal into torches makes it a lot safer to go poking around dark places. And that approach is rewarded with iron. I've barely gathered enough stone to make my pick, and I'm already stacking coal and iron. I've gathered enough from over here. It's time to pick up my crafting table and see what our skeleton friend is doing. Ah, he's sneakily waiting for me just in the shade there. I've already got iron. I could leave this iron alone. I could. I now have a sword. Not sure this is the smartest approach in such a nice looking spawn. But fortune favours the stupid. Knock knock, Mr. Bones, you have a visitor. Surprisingly, I'm being smart enough to draw the arrow fire while out of line of sight, before charging into my doom. I take one hit. One. But in the process of doing so, I get a bone. And a bow. This is a good start. And it was only 2 iron in the end. Combined with that other branch, that's 3 total. At least the skelly is gone and I can mine in peace. Finishing up in that initial cave, I go back to looking around the surface and, spotting some sugarcane, I also spot something even more exciting. I grab my sugarcane and make out for the village on the other shore. As a savanna village, it's probably not going to have all the crops, but it should still have guest workers. Workstations and wheat. I haven't looked much further, but this is already a good outcome. Beds, more workstations, sheep, villages, and loot. Lots of nice bread. My luck is really looking up. I haven't put anything at spawn other than a dirt pillar, but I'm ready to start offering free boat rides. And we have our first happy client. His life is about to get a lot more interesting. It's pretty clear I've never obtained volunteers in this method before, but I've now worked out I need the terrain at the same level. That means a lot more dirt paths. Soon enough, I've got a path to the water, and our first guest is on his way to a new life. Right, bringing the first guest back to my, base. Oh. I'll have to create some sort of inescapable holding pen. Give me a moment. Okay, buddy. Time for you to come and check out your new digs. Literally. Now, I expect you to stay here and behave while I go back and get your friend. Let's see if there's a new passenger ready. And there is. Having done this once already, we're soon back at the holding pen with our second guest. After a little bit of encouragement to give me my boat back, we're all done. I take care of the rising dam problem and give my new friend some walls and a roof. Okay guys, stay safe in your new little home. I guess it's time to actually work on my base. I have a crafting table and a double chest, which is soon joined by a furnace. But despite all the resources I gathered from the village, I am a bit short on timber. So it's time to gather stuff. Yes, I know this coal isn't timber. I mean, it might have been. I don't know the geological processes of Minecraft. Doesn't matter. It's on the surface, and I have a pick, so I'm taking it. In the process of gathering the various timbers, I encounter a ruined portal, which gives me plenty of useful, if unexpected, goodies. After a full day of resource gathering, it's back to spawn for a calm night of sleep under the stars. And to enjoy the spectacular effects of the shader pack. In preparation for building my base, I demonstrate my unique talent, that of counting from sea level, to work out how far up the floor level for the base will be. After having demonstrated that I can successfully count to 4, after checking a few times, I start digging and place the first actual base blocks. Dig, dig, dig. Oh, I was never here. Got it? And neither were you. Somebody should really have marked that villager pit a bit better. I continued digging and carving out various base layers and... oh, it started raining. Well, it's impressive rain, but it is harder to see what I'm doing. I actually need this sea level layer to still be here, but got a little trick up my sleeve to get my crops placed where I want them. I channel, my inner Dutchman, and redirect the sea to where I want it. I don't have a bucket, but with a shovel and patience, I can still create water source blocks. It's taken until the next day, and fighting a drowned zombie along the way, but I've now got a water source block exactly where I want it. I now have the centre irrigated block of my first crop field. Knowing that I like to have a 4-field layout, I've got some hydro engineering ahead of me. My digging results in a break for the night, but I do end up carving out the right spot for the next source block placement. A more sensible approach might have been to ask why I didn't just offset the farm to the other side, where there are plenty of water source blocks. Well, because... you're right, that would have been a more sensible approach. I guess the answer is stubbornness? Because I'm putting solid blocks back into a vast expanse of water source blocks, it's a relatively simple process to mark the third field. Setting out the sugarcane field is going to be more interesting, given that it uses 3 9x1 irrigation channels filled with water source blocks. I start getting the crops in and then put a roof over the farm. Although this isn't a hardcore playthrough, this is the first time that my buried farm design appears. And I got it in without any iron. While work continues on shaping the farm, I set aside space for my animal friends and set out to bring a few of them back. Fortunately, there's been plenty around the base. Without even really trying, I have quite the menagerie following me. If only I had something to attract the pigs as well. The new quarters aren't overly spacious, but everyone fits. There'll be more space later on. Yes, I see the pillager patrol having a swim, but I'm more interested in some surface level iron that I can't believe I missed. So close to base 2. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 iron. I didn't need to do all that lengthy water management when I had more than enough iron for a bucket right here. Taking a bit of a break from farm construction, I take a walk and head west. I'm pleased to discover a variety of wooded areas, including a jungle, nice and close to base. That stop in the jungle gave me several saplings, bamboo, and a decent pile of jungle logs. The next day, I take a boat and row due north. One quite lengthy row later, and land appears. As details fill in, I can see a village. It looks like a plains village, so there should be new workstations and crops to borrow. The village has already produced bread, emeralds, and useful loot. Now it gives me potatoes and carrots. And up behind the village is pumpkin. I keep pushing north on the new landmass and find some rather pretty snowy features. Well, that's been a successful walk. I think I went mostly north. Mostly. I'm fairly confident that if I row south, I'll find my base. But first I'm going to go west. This sort of looks like where I landed originally. I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen if I go directly south from here. And there we have it on the horizon, perfectly aligned. I wasn't lost at all. Really. I stay at base long enough to plant my new crops, set out more saplings, sort out my iron, but not make anything, and now we're rowing off to the east for more exploration. It's taken a lot longer this time, but land! Well, since there's no land in front, I'm going to row past. It doesn't look like there's anything there anyway, and we can always come back. There's been a couple of small islands off to the side and nothing but open ocean. I can see a shipwreck. It's a little hard with the shaders, but it's there, so that's worth looking at. The shipwreck gives me moss blocks, emeralds, gold ingots, iron nuggets, and a treasure map. That was a very useful deep dive. It's time to head back. With my gathered saplings growing in nicely, it's about time I kept working on the base. In the midst of busily framing out the structure, I'm paid a visit by a wandering trader. The typical exchange takes place, and I'm soon 2 leads richer. A bit of effort later, and I've got something approaching a cosy little base. It's far from finished, but it's still a nice little seaside cottage. What is a seaside cottage without a name? Well, now it's Ocean Breeze Cottage. In terms of work being done, foundations are done, the workspace underneath has been moved into a cellar space, and most of the interior is finished. There's still plenty of work to be done outside, including lighting, gardening, and fencing, so it isn't quite mob safe for now. A focus on exploration and building means I'm under-equipped, but I can't have the mobs running the place. With the mobs pacified, I return to my exploration, and this time I take a journey westwards. It's a pleasant row, with birch forests and jungles coming right down to the water's edge. Spotting a small dark oak forest, I stop to gather its unique resources. The view from the top of the hill reveals a broad expanse of thick jungle. That's going to make mapping a chore. Fresh resources in hand, I'm treated to a very moody and delightful row back to base as day passes into night. I have something of a serious problem. I got turned around somewhere and have lost my bearings as to where base is. I mean, it is very pretty rowing through these forests at night, but it's not helping me get back to base. I can't use F3 and have no map. I'm stuck. Given that my initial rowing direction was west, all I should do is put the setting moon to my back and row that way. Problem is, there's land in the way. With the coming of the dawn, that means rowing in the direction of the sun. But now I'm faced with low plains. I don't remember seeing those. Persevering, I eventually break out into what appears to be ocean. Now I should go mostly east? I do that, and am eventually rewarded with base! Clearly the terrain that I thought was mainly westward from base was more south to southwest. Having had my fill of exploration for a while, I get to work on my villager breeder. It's basically an enclosed carrot field, so I need to get work on enclosing it. Pretty much as soon as I get the breeder enclosed, I spot another skeleton hanging out where the earlier one was. I'm going to be a bit more prepared this time. Oh, it's 2 skeletons. That's okay. Now that I have a shield, this should be fairly straightforward. And, thanks to a bit of friendly fire, it is! The fun never stops, as I spot a pillager swim team coming past the base while I'm working on my fencing. Well, if they leave me be, I'll leave them be. Oh, they have land-based support. Well, I can't have them coming through base. Problem solved! Base security and lighting is now looking much better. I have paths in, some plants and trees done, a nice lawn, but lots more landscaping work ahead. It's been a while since I've checked on my guests, so with their future home right next to them, I take a quick look in their little hole. Things look fine. Just how close they are to the breeder is something I later forget when I go to move them to their new home. With everything else moving along nicely, it's well past the time I should have started mining. Soon enough though, I'm carving out a descending tunnel under the base and I'm well on the way to setting a mine up. I come up and take a break from not seeing sky and just enjoy the peaceful vibe that the base is putting out. Okay, vibe check over. Back into the basement. I've even sorted out my storage chamber. Combined with the farm, it's going to be a common layout that future builds start using. The next stage of the breeder is complete, with all of the carrots now planted. Now I can finish closing things off and think about moving in my guests. My plans are held hostage by a lack of diorite, so it's back into the mines. As I'm extending the descending tunnel, I hit a cave, right at the transition to deep slate. Given the lack of mobs within my base confines, this could be very dangerous. It's not long before I finish the breeding room. It's even got a lowered ceiling to be sure that endermen won't spawn. The last part, after the observer windows are placed, is to place trapdoors so the guests can't leave, set out the beds, and prepare the water sluice capture. Elevated ceilings are a problem for me upstairs, where I've got an uninvited guest hanging out in the kitchen. At least they're nice enough to leave a gift. With the unreachable bedchamber in place next to the breeder, it's time to move in our guests. Conveniently, I've forgotten how close they really are to the breeder, and decide to move them through the farm and other downstairs areas. With only a little bit of extra encouragement, both villagers are now safely in the breeder. The lower water sluice runs to a fence post, which is raised just enough that an adult villager will put their head into the upper water flow. The signs provide encouragement for what the villagers should do, but ultimately it picks up the adults and moves them to the holding pen. With a final lever to control the holding pen gates, the villager breeder is now complete. I remove the dirt block limiting line of sight, and it's now active. Emerging from the breeder, I'm pleasantly surprised to find a wandering trader. We carry out the standard negotiations, and I'm soon 2 leads richer. It's about time I invested in some wall decorations, so that means I need to make and fill some maps. I take the opportunity first, however, to check on the villager production system. It seems we already have at least one child in the queue. That's enough to know that things are working well, and will be due for some adults patiently waiting in the holding pen. I start making my maps, and the base doesn't really stand out on the level 0 map. Not that it matters, since the wall art is based on level 3 and 4 maps, and I've got a good idea of where I'll be travelling to fill them in. Thus, our journey to fill the maps begins. We seem to spend a lot of time trekking through jungle, and there's not much else of interest in the first 2 sides of the map. We wouldn't normally keep exploring at night, but the lighting mods and shaders let us know there's a village nearby, where we gratefully stop for the night. We've finished the perimeter of our map and are about to arrive back at base. If the biomes already on the map are any indication, there's going to be a lot of jungle to cover. We also managed to get ourselves a doorbell. A quick visit down to the breeder and we can clearly see a number of adults lined up, ready for us to put to work. Back out on the mapping journey, and we've been given a beautiful sunset to see us off. I said there was going to be a lot of jungle to fight through. The gloom added by the rain just makes me want to stop somewhere dry and wait. A little bit of rain and fog isn't going to be enough to stop me from finishing this map. So, we battle on. The rain doesn't lift until the next morning, and what a glorious morning it is for exploration. If it was still raining, I might have completely missed this. Or worse, fallen in. I need to make a note of where this is to come back later and have a proper look. And with that, I've completed the first wall maps. It's certainly a lot better to look at than the level 0 map of the base and surrounds. It looks like I've got another wandering trader. Just a wandering trader? Ah, there are his llamas. Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get leads from this negotiation. But I must deliver judgment for animal abandonment. I'm part of the way into the rest of my normal negotiations when I realise that I'm not going to get anything from it. Why not keep them? Because of my slow decision making, I now have one angry llama and one neutral llama tied up under my house. That's it. Right. Let that be a lesson to you as to what's going to happen to you if you do the same thing. Those villagers who were lined up in the collection pen waiting for work and have now been given gainful employment in what will become my villager trading hall. The first 4 will become fletchers, with arrows and sticks as their first trades. It's the quickest way to bank emeralds without zombification. A fletcher will basically convert a stack of logs, by way of planks and sticks, into 16 emeralds before exhausting their trade. That way, with 4 fletchers and 4 stacks of logs, you clear a stack of emeralds each time the trade's reset. And, with a grove of giant spruce, you'll easily collect 4 stacks of logs. With a toolsmith trader, you'll rapidly level them up as well, constantly trading for axes. I take a break from managing village trades to go for a captive llama ride. It doesn't look like it's that impressed with me. I'm having plenty of fun. I get back late from a spruce chopping expedition. With no hostiles to bother me, it's a pleasant evening's walk back to base. And a clear night ahead. Not every day on the coast can be full of sunshine. Well, it's not as gloomy as fighting through thick jungle, but it's not that far off. It's the perfect sort of weather to be down in the trading hall, convincing my new librarian traders that they want to change their offers. This librarian really doesn't want to give me a good trade. This resetting process goes on for a lot longer than I want, and a lot longer than it should. Eventually I give up and move a second librarian in. Only this one is just as stubborn about giving decent trades. I give up on both of them and decide to start leveling a toolsmith alongside my fletchers. In a stunning recreation of the behaviour displayed by the librarians, the toolsmith just can't seem to settle on a good offer. Or at least, one that I'm going to accept. It shouldn't be that hard. Toolsmiths don't have that many choices to pick from in the first offer pool. What is the villager doing? Apparently the correct combination of trades I was after was coal and pickaxe. Given I'd already had a pickaxe offer prior to this, I think I gave up trying. And returned to my recalcitrant librarians. Fire Protection 4 isn't a bad offer. At 34 emeralds with no zombie treatment, I'm sticking with it and have made the trades to lock it in. This librarian, on the other hand, continues to defy logic and spites me with poor offers. I suppose I was due some poor luck after how well the base build had been going up to this point, and all the exploration. But there is a line between bad luck and whatever this is. So many resets, and about the only thing I'd seen remotely interesting was infinity. And I can't even get that back now. At this stage, I'm after anything remotely useful that I could actually use while playing the game. Luck of the C3. Really? Luck of the C3. You know what? I'll take it and go fish my own enchanted book out. Fed up with dealing with the difficulties of the trading hall, I head to my giant spruce stand just outside base and spot a pillager patrol watching me. What better thing to do to a pillager patrol than taunt them? Okay, so they're not moving. That's no reason to throw away all common sense. Just in case the message wasn't received the first time, I F5 it to be doubly sure of its delivery. Huh, they really aren't interested in moving. Well, I don't want them hanging around, so I'll go over and encourage them to leave. Uh-oh, things aren't going as planned. That's a lot more damage than I want to be taking. You know what? I deserve that. All my good work with base building, exploring and looking after my resources, and I throw it all away in a fit of hubris. Well, according to our rules, that's it for this world. The next one is a hardcore world. We'll see you then.